Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to take a look at solving some cubic equation, and we're going to use complex numbers. Okay, so here's the question. We want to consider this cubic. We firstly want to show that x equals 2 is a root, and we call that part A. Part B, fully solved. Okay, so let's take a look at the steps. So the first thing to do is to show that x equals 2 is a root. So what does that mean? Well, if we put 2 into the left-hand side of this equation, we should get 0. If that's true, then x equals 2 is a root. So let's do that. So for part A, we have 2 cubed plus 4 times 2 squared plus 2 times 2. Take away 28 on the left-hand side, which is 8, plus 4 times 4, which is 16, plus 4, so that's 28. Take off 28. That gives 0. Okay, so we've shown that 2 is a root of this cubic. Just want to say cubic means the highest power. Here is 3. Okay, so what does this tell us? Well, it gives us some clue into the shape of the cubic. It tells us the cubic can be written in the following way. It can be written as x take away 2, because 2 is a root, times some other function in here. So this is what it tells us. So let's just study this for a moment. So on the left hand side we have highest power of 3. On the right hand side we have this linear factor, and we got this from part A. I know if we put 2 in we get 0, so x take away 2 must be a factor. And I don't know what this function f is, but I know it should be quadratic. There's a quadratic factor which we need to find. So that's the next task, finding this quadratic. So how are we going to do that? Well, there's two methods. You could say, well, this function f is some ax squared plus bx plus c. You could times it all out and try compare with the left hand side, or we could do some long division. And I'm going to solve this using long division. So let's start a clean page, and on that page we're going to take this and we're going to divide by this so that we can find f. Okay, so let's do it. So we have this function all divided by x take away 2. So let's remind ourselves of long division. Step 1, what do we times this by to get this? So these are the first terms. Well, we need to times by x squared. So on the top we're going to write x squared. Okay, next thing to do, we're going to multiply this x squared by all of this. So let's do it. So we get x cubed take away 2x squared, and then we're going to subtract down, subtract this way. Okay, so x cubed take away x cubed, they disappear. 4x squared take away minus 2x squared, so we have minus goes to a plus, so 4 plus 2, 6x squared, and I'm just going to bring these terms down. You can just think about the subtract nothing 2x take away nothing is 2x, and so on. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step, we go back to our first terms. What do I times this by to get this? So clearly we need a 6x. And we go through the same process. We times the 6x by the x take away 2. So we get 6x squared take away 12x. Okay, so again, we're going to subtract downwards. So 6x squared take away 6x squared is 0. We have 2x take away minus 12x. So minus minus is a plus. And we're just going to bring this down. So the final step, going back to the leading terms, the first terms, what do we times this x by to get 14x? Clearly we need 14. So we put 14 here, and then we do it, we times them. So 14x take away 28. So this is 14 times the x take away 2. Subtract down, what's left over? 0. Yeah, I'm going to Venice very soon. Okay, that's another story. Right, okay, so what I've done is I've found that quadratic, that f of x just sits up here. So actually, what I've done, I've shown this quadratic is the same as x take away 2, x squared plus 6x plus 14. And for part B, I wanted to know when is this 0? Well, we've already done this bit in here. We can see x is 2. This will give 0. The other solutions are inside of here. So the question is next, when is x squared plus 6x plus 14 equal to 0? So let's do that. So we need to solve this equation. So pick your favorite methods. You can use the formula or complete the square. I think I'm going to complete the square. So I need to look at what sits in front of x and half it. That's 3. Now if I square this bracket, I get x squared. 6x plus 9. Well, I don't want 9, I want 14. So add 5. And now simply just rearrange. So I'm going to isolate x. So take the plus 5 to the other side, to minus 5. Take square roots. And we should know from some previous videos I did, or just some classes you maybe attended, the answer to this is the square root of 5 times I. Of course, plus or minus. And finally, to isolate x, I subtract 3 from both sides. And I get minus 3 plus or minus 5i. These are the remaining two solutions. I'm just going to summarize now. So let's say the solutions, so all the solutions. We have x equals 2, x equals minus 3 plus 5i, or minus 3 take away 5i. These are all our solutions. Okay, just as a final comment, if we have some cubic, so the highest power is 3, we should have 3 solutions, and this matches perfectly with our example.